Welcome to the ReForge podcast. I'm Matthew Chang, and we're here to explore all things AI, automation, and the American worker, proving that the American reindustrialization is possible, pivotal, and pressing. Thanks for joining us today. Let's get into the episode.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 29 of the ReForge podcast. And today we have a very special guest. According to Grok, he is, quote, the most connected man on X. Debatable, maybe, but according to AI, we can't argue with our AI overlords. So
you don't have to say quote. You don't have to say quote. It's just
I'm just making sure that I'm putting the right parameters out there so nobody tries to fact check us.
Well, otherwise. We're already banned from YouTube. I don't know if we're gonna get banned. Maybe we'll get banned from X for saying that. But it's like saying that the sky is blue according to AI, right?
I mean, a few things here. I'm sorry, Matt, to cut you off, but a few things here. I'm offended. First off, that we had to put quotes on it because Grok has said it.
I just assumed it was trademarked.
Yeah, I'm working on that. Okay, I'm working on that. I will charge you retroactively for that. Matt has said it. Bordy AI has admitted that in some areas I am more connected than it is. So, I mean,
they sound like facts to me.
It's all facts, right? And listen, this podcast is sponsored by Chang Robotics, and Chang Robotics, they don't lie. And so this is all facts.
High integrity,
baby. Yeah, it's science, really. You can't argue with that.
Exactly.
Colin, whatever agenda you had for this podcast, me and Ryan are just going to blow it out of the water.
I didn't even bother. I figured, with the intro notes, when his own intro basically said that, debatable or wrongly believes he's the most connected man on X, I had a feeling that this one might go off the rails a bit early.
What's funny about that is I put that out there as a joke. I don't even remember what it was. I connect with people, and so I put that out there, and it's kind of taken off. And I wish I would have thought about this is going to work. I didn't know. But people will they'll be like, well, you're not connected with Elon. It's like, oh, really? You think Elon's more connected than me? I didn't know that. That's stunning. So some people,
200 million people, and what? You're kidding?
Yeah, you're kidding me. They act like I think that I'm more connected with Elon. It's like, guys, it's just tongue in cheek. So anyway,
it's all about branding, baby.
It's an honor to be here today. So thank you guys for having me.
Well, yeah, man.
It was great.
We're glad you're here
to have you. So
can we also take a second and appreciate Colin and his recent accomplishment? Would that be okay?
Please.
Yeah,
a little bit of AI slop goes a long way,
Yeah, let's let me share a window right quick. This is designed by Colin. Speaking of, this podcast today is sponsored by Chang Robotics.
Woo!
Colin designed this. Did you use AI, Colin, or did you?
Oh, this is 100% Grok on this one. This
100%.
Just,
okay.
Give it the branding
here. Yeah. Post this to his viral tweet. So he's got the Chick-fil-A money, Ryan. Colin is in the money. Yeah, he's headed for
milkshakes too.
Subscriber
milkshakes
level.
Even.
Yep. Yeah. Treat the kids. Get them whatever they want.
Do we think those numbers are real? By the way, I'm sorry. This is the bane of my existence that I cannot get the numbers to move like they should. I'm sorry. Go ahead back to this awesome vehicle. My bad.
Did you try designing a cyber SUV with my branding on it?
No, but I will.
So Colin throws this out as a reply to his viral tweet that got everybody's attention because we need this vehicle to exist. I need this vehicle to exist. Mm-hmm. This should be my kid mover. Right? And then as a reply, being a good buddy, he puts my branding on it. And then I got people in Jacksonville sending this to me like, oh my gosh, is this happening? These are not X people. They might have an account, but they don't reply. They don't comment.
Yeah.
They might use it to get their news or something. And I had multiple people take this seriously. I'm like, yeah, we need to make that happen. So if ReForge is going to do anything, we need this made in USA, all electric, rugged family hauler.
By October 20th. And then we could ride back to Jackson. See, yep. We could, yep.
All right. Why don't you just start off and tell us what you're doing? Let's do that.
Give us your background, other than being the most connected man on X / the world, beyond Elon.
Obviously, Elon.
There's a little asterisk there, obviously. But we'll move on from it. Tell us a bit more about you. Give us kind of the rundown on Adstra Equity, what you're doing, all that good stuff.
Yeah. So I've been running small businesses since I was 22. My dad had an engineering and surveying company, and he was going to retire. And he's like, "Hey, you want to try to run this? Then give it a shot, or keep living in Dallas," which I was at the time. So we moved back to Louisiana, and I started running the company. If you've read the book The Frackers, talking about the shale revolution, that's the story about Chesapeake. We were the second biggest survey company for Chesapeake at the time, and the gap was huge between 1 and 2. But then between 2 and 3 was, proportionally as big as well. And so it was crazy. That's kind of baptism by fire how I got into running companies and ended up buying that company. Sold it during COVID. The oil and gas market, if you might have seen, was crazy and down. And I was like, no, I don't want to rebuild this. Um, and before I did, I'd worked on this international stuff a lot. And so I have now a friend who, when I met him, he worked for Eskom, the South African power company. He ended up becoming the COO of the Department of Energy of South Africa. And so I went to China in 2019, and so I was really working this international angle. And then COVID happened, kind of squashed that. And that kind of started coming back up in 2021. And I had some groups. I told the company, I had some groups asking me about doing some fundraising for PE and sales help and stuff like that. And so I started a consultancy because I went to go meet the ambassador of Togo, and I set my company down, which is War Room Media. This is before the Steve Bannon War Room stuff. So, and they're like, no, a media company can't come down. And so I had to create a company. So I was like Ray Global Advisors, because I couldn't think of anything. I had like 30 minutes. And so that's how the company was formed. And I started doing consulting and stuff, and worked on some international projects and some US projects. And that's what happened in 2023 was the cold email craze. That's when it was really popular. And so I had about 70 domains at one point going out, helping generate sell-side engagements for brokers, advisors, buyers. And the most successful, there's a podcast of me talking about $200 million of enterprise value of deals generated. Well, the most successful of that group was Ad Astra. And so I got sick in 2024. They thought it was MS. It's not. It was just low copper. But that kind of messed me up for a little while. And long story short, I was kind of doing some one-on-one coaching, consulting, stuff like that. I was like, I might wind that down. And I talked to Ad Astra and someone else I won't mention, who's on X Popular. And I was like, and we come up with this idea. They were either going to have me go focus on the SBA range of deals, which I've done a lot with, and kind of run that, or the bigger fish, which is what they work on. And so they shut that down. I built up referral networks. So now what I do is I spend my day meeting with people, understanding who they are, what they do, preferably if they work with an owner. And then I have an AI in the background, one that Matt hates. I won't say the name because he hates it. That brings together all my notes and goes, okay, well, who is a good contact for Matt? Because I do 4, 6, 8 of these a day. And I can't remember everyone. And so I build out this referral network because I know that for me, what I need for Matt to remember me. And so the best way for that to happen is for me to figure out what I can send to Matt that's valuable to him. And so I constantly feeding this AI tool everything that I'm doing and who I'm meeting with, so that I forget that Matt told me he's looking for this 3 weeks from today, but the AI doesn't. And so I'm like, oh, I talked to Tom. Tom should talk to Matt. And so I spend my day like that to generate sell-side engagements for Ad Astra. So that's a long-winded way of what I do. Also, husband, wife, we've been married for almost 20 years, got 4 kids. So
Did you just count on the 4?
well, we had a daughter. We're talking about moving to Florida. There's a whole thing going back and forth. We got one daughter who's like anti, and so we might kick her out, might disown her, so might have 3. So yeah. So
all right,
yeah,
that's good.
So one of the things, I mean, you're talking a lot about kind of that M&A sell side, kind of the networking, and in the context of kind of the reindustrialization stuff, one of the things that we've heard from a number of the last few guests is a big inflection point for a lot of these family-run manufacturing shops is that transition between generation. But sadly, the reality is a lot of the shops in America don't have a transition plan. They don't have succession in place. They don't have kids that are looking to step up. And so it leads to a lot of these shops closing. One of the issues is a lot of these shops, they're smaller operations, some of them, variety of sizes, obviously. But navigating that for somebody who's just burning to keep the lights on is tough. First question would be kind of where does somebody like you fit in to maybe help them start that journey to navigate all the unknowns and even, some of the few knowns that they might be expecting?
Yeah. So thank you. That's a good question. My advice to any owner is you have to understand the game you're playing. And that game can change, but you have to understand at least the game you're playing right now. So I have one major client that I generate deals for. That's the game I'm playing, and I'm trying to play in that. So to your point about these manufacturers, well, if you're playing the family succession game, okay, well, you have to really be intentional about what that looks like, because a lot of sons and daughters get burned out because, like, yeah, dad's just using me because I'm cheap labor, and they don't really feel the value. Dad won't expand, or what it might be. And so if you're going to play that game, you just got to play it well. The second thing is, a lot of owners, I've talked to probably 350, 400 owners about selling their business. I always tell them, you're great at manufacturing, but this is not your world. So you have to understand the M&A world. You need help, because you can make widgets all day, but customer concentration, debt, whatever it might be, owner dependency, whatever it might be, the issue is, if you're not even aware that's an issue, you could be really profitable, have a good company, but it's not worth a lot to sell. And so starting that process sooner rather than later is so important, because if you think you're going to the worst calls, I'll say, is you talk to an owner in their 60s and they need like $7 million to sell, to retire. Wife may be sick, grandkids sick, something like that. They need to retire. They need $7 million. The company's worth $2 million. And so they're not in a spot where they can't flip the switch overnight to get to 7, because it's, maybe the trade or something like that. It's not something that you can just spin up a bunch of revenue overnight. Those are tough calls to have, because they're now in a spot where they can't retire from selling their company. They could sell it, but then they got to go work a job. And then there's a reason pressing that they have to go do this. And so those are really tough calls to have. So understand the game you're playing is what I tell all owners to really do. And you can change that again, but you have to know what you're playing today.
So it's interesting that you say that, because that is exactly the experience I've had. Probably about 2 years ago, I started down the path of looking to acquire local machine shop. Wanted to try and build on legacy of somebody else. Spoke with a dozen and a half shops in the area, and the math didn't math. They wanted 10 times earnings type of things, and it wasn't there. And as much as I would have loved to build on what they're doing, they've got old machinery, they've got 40% of their revenue coming from one customer that's on 100 net 120 type thing, and they want their cash and to walk away. And so it's absolutely it's very real, having dealt with it firsthand. I'm curious, obviously those are tough calls to have for you, trying to kind of serve as that advisor and broker form. What advice, are you able to give to some of those individuals that perhaps are a bit more receptive? And I guess kind of follow on to that is kind of what do you see as the breakdown, kind of, or that split between how many of those owners are actually receptive to it, looking to sell, versus they're just not going to budge on this number they've made up in their mind?
Well, Ryan, can I give you a design case? This is the engineer in me. All right. So building off what Colin said, you have a 58-year-old owner.
Yeah.
The succession looks like it's out. Kids went off, studied abroad, got degrees, totally irrelevant. They have happy little lives living as consultants in some big city. So it's 58 years old. This guy is that a boomer? Or if he is, he's on the bottom edge of boomer. Or is
close enough.
Borderline.
Yeah, he's a borderline boomer Xer, and he's thinking ahead. He calls you because he needs a 3-year plan to get in the sweet spot. What do you tell this guy?
Yeah. So we're going to assume, going back to Colin's point, that these are SBA range companies, just to make this, because my advice for all companies in the SBA range, if you're a buyer, is this process. The first thing as a buyer you should have is a good SBA contact, because you should take that owner to the SBA and say, what would you lend on this business? It doesn't mean you got to get an SBA loan, but owners understand banks. And so if a bank says they're only going to lend $3.2 million, it doesn't, okay, it's worth 10, cool, but the banks only give me 3.2. And I found that to be the most effective way to get owners to see that you're not trying to undercut them. This is what the bank's going to lend me. What do you want me to do? I can't pay you more. Like this, they get that. And so that's the language I start speaking. And remember, I always say I'm a redneck. So redneck to redneck. So I don't talk to them about adjusted EBITDA and add backs and all this stuff. What can the bank lend me? Well, the bank can lend me 3.2. Can we do that? No, but 3.4. Okay, well, maybe the SBA will bump it up to 3.4. We can have that conversation. That's thing one. And if they come back and they go, well, I've been around for, I'm 58, so 30 years or whatever. It's a 100-year-old company, whatever it is. I want $7 million. Well, it's not worth your time because you've shown them that the bank won't give you a loan above this amount, and they are way, way, way out of the ballpark. There are rare exceptions where they can justify that, but it's a good rule. So that's the first thing. And so if they look at the bank's numbers and it's too far out, I don't go any further. And doesn't, again, you don't have to use the SBA lending. It's just the best lever. To your question, Matt, I had a client a while back and he wanted to sell. He had one customer. He did about $8 million a year in revenue and $2 million net. Really good business, right? Like, who doesn't want that?
Yeah.
And
Colin.
and he wanted to sell. He wanted to sell for basically 1 times revenue. The problem is customer concentration. Well, I knew a guy who owned a FedEx business. And so customer concentration, FedEx. So he was willing to look at it. And he looked at it and it didn't work out. That's fine. But this guy wants to sell for $8 million. And so the math to get him $8 million is he has to reduce customer concentration from his one customer and increase all these other customers and really, thread that needle, which is going to be hard to do, or grow to like 24 or 30 something million dollars of revenue so that customer concentration doesn't matter. And that's a huge leap. And it's like, well, in 3 years, you would have $8 million, basically 3.5, whatever it was, 3.5 years. Just write it out, man. Just write it out. Like it's not worth all of these hoops to get what you want. And so understanding how far they are and what they can do to get there is an important conversation. So when I say what game you're playing, if you're wanting like, 5 million or 50 million or 100 million, it doesn't matter. What is the game you're playing? And then how hard is it to get there? And so I hope that kind of answers all the questions. I kind of got lost between you and Matt.
What's the high? Just give us the bullet points. So we got the account concentration. You want to see a business that has multiple clients that could any one of them pull into the lead as best customer, or maybe 1,000 clients to where it doesn't matter, right?
Nothing over 20%.
Okay. 20%.
10 is great, but 20% is the top.
Okay.
At that point, anything beyond that, I mean, you're talking discount points on what that EV is, because you just have to assume. I mean, my approach historically, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, has been anything over 20% is, icing on the cake. But I'm not accounting for that revenue when I try and underwrite what this deal looks like, because the moment they walk away, anything beyond that, I'm now in a hole.
Yeah. 20% is, I mean, and what I tell people is the hard part about these conversations is everything can be negotiated. And so there's ways to work around it, but for best practices, 20%. And if you get to 10, you're even better. Like that's premium, because if your best customer leaves and they're 5% of your revenue, the buyer, they keep going. If they're 45% of your revenue, they might go under, right? So you're trying to de-risk it as much as possible. So customer concentration is one. But what I would say, Matt, is honestly, if you just look at this as owner dependency, the more removed you are, it begins to fix all this stuff. Because if you brought me on tomorrow to be your top sales guy and you had 3 customers and they were all like, one was 60% and the rest were the other 2, you wouldn't trust me with that, because if I left and went to work for Colin, you'd be like, oh my gosh, we're out of business. So by removing yourself, you're going to force yourself to do things that allows the business to be more valuable. So the books will be cleaner because you want to make sure that you're actually getting what you're supposed to be getting. They're not cooking the books. The processes, because you don't want the phone calls at midnight. And so owner dependency, oddly enough, for most businesses, up until like, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 million, somewhere in there, that's what they got to focus on. And if they don't focus on that, they're never going to hit what I'd call escape velocity, because a safe number to assume is that if you're going to do a M&A deal and you're getting between 15 to 20 million cash at close, that's basically escape velocity. You can probably retire safely at that point. It doesn't mean you have to, but that's kind of a general rule of thumb. There's exceptions to every rule, but that's kind of a rule of thumb. Well, if you want to have a $20 million a year, $20 million enterprise value business, you can't be the one answering all the phone calls, fixing the equipment, doing the books, and be successful. I talked to a guy, we're in August now, so this is March. He was sent to me because he needed help, and he went out of business. He's in bankruptcy now because he's doing 30 million a year in revenue, and he was sending out invoices or bidding jobs for $3 million, and it was costing him 3.5, and he was the one still sending out the invoices. Right. So owner dependency cost him his whole livelihood. Like, he bankrupt. It's terrible. It's sad. And so when you get to bigger companies, it's a little bit differently, but to get that kind of escape velocity, owner dependency is what you should probably work on.
Okay, so we got two. We got account concentration, but they all seem downstream for owner dependency.
Yeah. So I'm saying, like, if you just wanted like one thing, owner dependency, because every area you look at is just going to be, how do I remove myself? And I kind of dub it the Thailand test. Drop your phone right now, hop on a plane, and go to Thailand. That's like you send an email out, hey, I'm going to Thailand, guys. Be back in a month. Well, they could find you if they had to, but Thailand, the time zone's so different. Like, your phone's here. Can you do that? In what areas can you not do that in? That's where you focus on removing yourself from the business.
I love it. So obviously, the last few years, I mean, it seems longer, but obviously the last few years, AI automation have really accelerated, particularly in more the industrial space. But most operations, most of these, smaller operations that are, we're not talking Fortune 500s, they haven't necessarily fully embraced or taken full advantage of those opportunities for plenty of reasons, all justifiable, whatever. When you're talking to owners, one of the things that I experienced was the commentary of, oh, well, there's so much room for growth. You can do all these things. Yeah, that's great. Go do it then, and then show me, type of thing. But at the same time, it's not that easy. Where do you see, in that transaction, that kind of advisor model, where do you see the potential or impact on AI automation kind of influencing some of these deals, either providing upside or even just, on showing that there is greater upside, the breadcrumbs to it?
Yeah. So when I'm talking to owners, most of the time it's around, can we link your tools together? Let's just start with that. What are the tools you're using, and can we link them together? Odds are most of the time you can. And then that's going to reveal that your data is not as clean as you need to be. So from QuickBooks to this tool, like that, there's problems with the data. You can't just get from all the tools like you want to, because you're not really creating clean data. And so that's kind of step one. Like, can you link your tools together, and is your data clean enough to get it from the tools, between the tools? So that's step one. On top of that, I think that when you get online, there's all talk about AI slop, and that's just from people being really lazy with AI, right? The more advanced stuff, it's hard to detect. It can be really good. So for instance, I think I said this earlier, I use Claude to keep up with who I've connected with, who I've talked to, what do they do. It brings in my Outlook, my HubSpot, my call logs. Well, if you're a small business and you've got to manage your sales team, and you want to see if Colin has followed up with the people he told he was going to follow up to, Cloud Connector and asking that question is pretty simple. Like, it's really that simple. And so there's so many big things. We go, oh, we want to automate everything. It's like, okay. What's the saying? Crawl, walk, run. I hate that, but people love that. So we can just crawl. Like, there's a lot of stuff we can crawl with. And so those are some things. First off, can you link the tools together? If not, is there a reason you can't switch tools so that you can link them together? And then beyond that, is the data clean enough to get them through the tools? And then look at stuff like a Cloud Connector or a ChatGPT connector or whatever it might be, that can bring in this data and go, okay, yeah, Colin's supposed to follow up with Matt, and there's no outbound email saying that he did that. Or Colin's supposed to introduce Matt to Ryan, and he hasn't done that. Matt, what's going on here? You can start to ask those questions. And so, and you could build up a simple bot to do that for you as well at some point, but that's just a manual thing you can put on your calendar and do it every day for like 5 minutes.
So I'm curious, do you see, I think that was a great example, but when you're talking with somebody, helping them kind of evaluate, whether it's what their upside is for making a deal on either the acquirer side or sellers, do you look at some of those things saying, hey, here's some of the issues I found, if we want to talk about maximizing the value of, your sale, finding a buyer who's able to take advantage of good data, all that you mentioned, do you kind of do some of those checks, or do you see it as an opportunity for buyers or sellers to help kind of prep the process and saying, here's where we're at today. Here's the upside, or here's what we need to do to really take advantage of some of these things?
I mean, yes and no. It depends. In a perfect world, what I tell you is, I think that more owners should go to the market more often to see what the buyers are telling them, right? So as we're talking about the AI automation and the data stuff, well, why are the buyers not giving you another turn on the multiple? Is it an EBITDA issue? Is it customer concentration? Is it SOPs? Like what's going on here? And so if it's any of those issues, there are ways in which AI and automation can help you. You can use AI and automation to help you with SOPs, to help remove owner dependency, to help with QuickBooks. There are those things. And so the problem is that this becomes it's a big bowl of spaghetti. You're like, well, where do I pull out at? And each company has its own problems. And then each owner has their own strengths and weaknesses. And so for me, I am not an engineer. So if you're wanting, the most efficient process, don't call me. I'm not good at that. Right. And so I could help with sales though. And so when you're asking about, well, how does it work from company to company? It's going to depend on the DNA of the company. And so if the owner is, I'm not going to use Matt because he's an engineer. I don't know how his company works, but I'm guessing his company works more built towards, at least at some point, efficiency, processes, engineering, right? Whereas I would build something more towards sales. And so when you're saying, we talk to these owners, like, yeah, there's a lot of things you can do. And then the owner has to probably either change what they're doing. In a lot of cases, it's not advisable. It's best for them to hire someone. So it's best for me to hire someone to run the ops, or to bring in a consulting firm to build out some of those automated processes. So it's case by case, but you have to see what's going on to have an opinion on what it looks like. But these things are, I don't not be disparaging. A lot of these companies in the SBA range, I don't want to say a wreck. But there's there's hair on them, as we say, right? There's a lot of hair on them, right? The bigger the company, the less you're going to see this stuff. And that's why it's so important, I think, to get out of that SBA range. Is it forces you to fix so much.
Okay, so following up on that, you got the crawling, to get your data clean, just connect your systems so that we're communicating. I think to kind of follow up on Colin's question, have you seen buyers looking to pay a premium when they find a very clean business that's well automated? Forget the revenue size. Take the hairy one that's got you got to do explaining for everything inside the business. They're doing 10 million. You got another one that's nice and polished up, that's a well-oiled machine. They're doing 10 million. Are you seeing buyers pay a premium for the clean company that's well automated?
Yes, but I think that the one that's going to be well automated is going to have less hair on it too, because you have to have less hair to have automation, right?
Yeah.
And so it's more efficient. It's going to have better margins. It goes into a lot of areas. So yes, but I hear what you're asking. I haven't seen what you're describing, which is they're basically the same. One's just better automated. It's like, well, when that one's better automated, it fixes all kinds of stuff.
Oh yeah. So by the time they finish their little 3-year prep journey, they
Yeah.
automate the business, they get themselves out. That 10 million business they started with is now 18 or 22. And
Or the margins are better, or the customer concentration is better, or they have SOPs, the key man dependency is gone. Like all the things that we talked about, they have to begin to fix. The data is cleaner. There's a lot of stuff that goes on. They're not writing off random stuff as tax deductions. There's all kinds of things that are going into that. So when you say those words, I'm hearing a well automated business means that they're going to run it like a true business, and they're going to try to increase the multiple.
Colin, I just heard him take a shot at all those shop owners that have a bass boat in the back of the shop.
I know, right? I mean, like, how are they
bad.
supposed to pay for their vacation to Florida and, that brand new car they get every couple of years? It's lifestyle business, baby.
Well, but no, that's great. And I think that if you want a lifestyle business, I have a lifestyle business, right? If I come to you guys and say, hey, I'm going to sell, that's just not going to work. I have a strategic way in which I do anything. And so if you want to have the bass boat in the back of your shop, that's great. Just understand that if you need to sell at some point, you're not going to get as much as you wanted because you did things like that, especially in the SBA range, because they're going to look at the tax returns.
And I think that's one of those things that there's unfortunately a big gap in what a lot of these owners, their expectations versus reality. Ad backs are ad backs. You're going to have a couple every time. But when you're talking, I looked at one that there was owner had a ZR1, real nice Corvette sitting on that bucket. And I was like, well, you've also got an Escalade on there and a pickup truck that are all listed as personal vehicles. So we're starting to see things get a little messy, at that point, it kind of throws a bit of a wrench into some of your assumptions and makes you question things. But, obviously, we're not going to change a bunch of minds today saying, oh, wow, okay, I'm not going to get my 7 million. I'm going to be happy with my 3.5 tomorrow.
Right.
As much as I'd selfishly love to, I guess what maybe is your barometer? What's kind of your gauge to figure out how serious some of these owners are? Or do you keep it very simple and say, give me your numbers, what your ask is versus what your valuation is, or what's kind of your process? Because I think it might be helpful for a lot of people out there to understand, particularly these job shops, that valley of death, 5 to 50 employees, what's real versus what's unreasonable.
So you're make sure I'm following along. You're saying if I'm talking to them about exiting, how do I know if they're serious or not?
Yeah, based on them asking for a reasonable number versus being out of their mind.
Yeah. The buyer of your business is your final customer. And on some level, they are your most important customer. Now, there's certain stages where you can't focus on that if you're trying to grow, but at some point you have to build something for them. And so what that means is when you go to sell your company, do you want one buyer to come look at it? If you're going to sell your house, do you want one person to come look at selling your house? Well, perhaps the person comes and writes you a check for 3x, but the value of your home. You have Zillow. Well, owners with their businesses, they don't know that. And so if an owner says to me, I want to talk to one buyer. Okay, well, we can talk about that, but understand that one buyer is shrewder than you are at this game. And so you might not sell it to them because you might get offended, but you might sell it to them at a huge discount because they are really good at this. If it's a PE group, especially, they are really good at this. And so they're not going to offer you a premium. And I've had PE groups tell me that they would rather buy from a company like us than an individual owner because we're going to make the owner clean up the books and get the stuff ready. And so if an owner says, I'll talk to a buyer one-on-one, that's it. It was one buyer. It's like, well, is that how you run your business today? Do you just say, I just want one customer to come in and buy all my goods or services? No. And so a sales side process gets a bad rap for some reason, but it is the most effective way most of the time to get someone to pay a premium. There are times where strategics might come in and stuff like that and want to buy, but for most owners, that's the way to do it. So if they say to me, no, I want to talk to one buyer, then they're probably not that serious or they don't understand. And so, or they want to be educated on the risk of that.
Well, makes sense. Market dictates the value. Something's only worth what somebody's willing to pay.
Mm-hmm.
So give us, give us maybe a sneak peek, some spill the tea, if you will. What's going on with the company? Any exciting news, new moves, and things you're working on?
Yeah. So a few things. One is I think of the conversations around M&A today won't be the same in 10 years. So the owners who are younger, like my dad, selling his business wasn't even something that he really considered back then. Okay. And so now though, got Buy Then Build and all these M&A books. And so the younger generation is going to think about this a lot differently. So that's going to be good. What we are seeing is that there's a lot more buyers. Like I always joke, like on X, it's the SBA range stuff, which is great. But the amount of plus SBA range that want to buy companies is crazy. There are a lot of buyers out there. And so if you just took the time, energy, and effort to grow beyond that, I'm not saying it's easy, but there's a roadmap for it. You're in a lot better spot. As far as what we're doing, I'm building out the Ad Asher Advantage page. And so that's what I'm meeting with all these people. And so if we're working with owners, if you're working with an owner, well, we want to build out a referral relationship with you. So we want to send not only possibly owners to you, but other referral partners. So, lawyers and CPAs, you'll see people online I'm introducing to and stuff like that. So that's kind of the big thing for me is this networking, connecting thing is how do I put two people in the room so that they remember me when one of them has a client that wants to sell. And so it doesn't have to be someone who works with owners in a selling capacity. I talked to a lady last week and she doesn't do that at all, but she's helpful for other referral partners. And so I love that. Like that makes it super easy.
Can we plug the slap fight? We allowed to talk about that?
I mean, if he's actually going to come through, is he coming through?
Ooh.
He's in Thailand. He texted me this weekend. Speaking of the Thailand test,
yeah.
Paul Swainey's putting that. Well, I mean, we're talking about it here, so he has to do it.
Yeah.
All right. So Twitter slap fight. What day is it?
It's supposed to be October 21st. Now, here are the terms. Let's get this on the record. The terms are he offered live, a 5K payment, and a first-class flight. That's the terms. And he's asked that we don't do it live, but he would give me editing rights, and that's fine. As long as he sends the 5K and the first-class flights, I don't care. Like, whatever. You can chop it up however you want. Yeah, I mean, Paul. I've only talked to him once offline. And so it's October 21st in Tampa. So we're throwing a mixer on the 20th in Tampa as well. So we're working on that. And Chang Robotics, the sponsor of this podcast, and OpenAI will be sponsoring that event on the 20th. And so working on details. I need to finalize from Paul. This is going to happen. I trust that it is, but something may change. So,
Colin, can you get Grok and the rest of the AIs to say that OpenAI and Chang Robotics are in fact peer group companies? Many people use this in the same sentence. It's kind of interchangeable.
I mean, that's my take on it. I mean, I think we might have to do a little prompt engineering, but I suspect we can find the wording for it.
Do you want to hear the story about that? You want to hear the story about that? I'll tell you the story.
Absolutely.
So I was throwing a mixer a few weeks ago, and I get this picture. Hold on. I get this picture at like 6:17 on Wednesday. The mixer's on Thursday, by the way. And it's one guy I know and one guy I have no clue who it is. Can you see that? Yeah. And so I don't know. I'm like, who in the world is he? Like, I know the event. That's where the event's at. I'm like, what in the world is going on? Did I set the wrong dates? Because I was kind of wigging out. And then turns out he just got the dates wrong. So he's like, hey, you should come hang out with me. I'm at this honey hole, he called it. So I was like, okay, cool. Matt Chang calls, you go, right? So I drive up to the honey hole. For perspective, this dude is at the hotel. I've been at that hotel once in my life, and that was to meet the president of Angola. And so I was like, oh, when he said honey hole, he's being serious. Like, this is a legit honey hole. Like, we're okay. So walk in.
For sell side, Colin, a sell side honey hole.
There we go.
Yeah. And so, he introduced me to these people, and it's like blowing my mind. It's just crazy. And so I was like, okay. And so then the next night was my mixer. Then he wasn't going to come, but that other guy, Forrest, is like, hey, this is late Wednesday night. He's like, we should sponsor the drinks tomorrow night. What are you doing for that? I'm like, it's just come pay whatever. He goes, we'll sponsor. I was like, well, Matt's not coming. He's like, yeah, Matt, we should go tomorrow night, sponsor the drinks. So they come tomorrow. They come the next night and sponsor the drinks. So as we're leaving Wednesday night, I'm like, hey, I've got this mixer in Tampa. He's told me about Paul, that they know each other. I'm like, I'm going to do this mixer. OpenAI sponsoring it. I'm going to let Chang Robotics co-sponsor because you're so nice to me. That's like, see, Colin, that's the kind of guy I am. I just give.
Just
so connected.
I just give.
That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about.
So connected. So let me plug that Dallas mixer, then we'll have you plug the Tampa mixer. So, what I like is people that give. I also like people that can mobilize by just saying it. You just kind of manifest. So Ryan said, I'm going to have a Twitter mixer. I forgot the official name. SMB mixer in the DFW area. He picked a cool venue. I showed up on the wrong day. I came back on the right day, for the record.
Yep,
I was there for 2 days.
2 days.
Turned a one-day event into a 2-day event.
Party doesn't stop.
But in the room, he had attorneys, he had business developers, he had patent lawyers, business lawyers, he had bankers. He had kind of the grocery store of what you need if you're getting ready to sell your company, and you need different types of advisory, different types of helpers and financing and all those sort of things. So I got to say, it was probably 40 people. It was representative of the connections you're talking about. What do we get to expect in Tampa?
I want to talk to you offline about that because I don't know. Like, I've got OpenAI and Chain Robotics sponsoring it. I feel like I need to go max. Like, I need to go max. And so, like, and the guy that you introduced me to, the big telecom guy, I won't say his name because I don't know. He's talking about coming now. Maybe it's early. Yeah. It's early. So I'm like,
he lives there.
Yeah, I know. That's why. I listen to people sometimes, and so I was like, hey, I might have this. He goes, well, I might come and I might help you with it as well. I was like, oh, please, sir. And so, I don't know. Jackie Hirsch is going to be there as well. She's a business broker in Orlando or
She's great.
Miami. I can't remember. Yeah, she's great. I've had some other people reach out, and so I've thought about. So the rule, we can shop this live. The rule with OpenAI is I can't charge attendance, so it has to be free, which is fine. And so I thought, okay, do I have it free, or do I have a 2-tier? Like it's OpenAI sponsored from 6 to 7 or something like that, and then it's a VIP room from like 7 to 9, because there is going to be a guy there who could probably, I don't want to do a long presentation, but a short kind of thing, like what you can do with OpenAI, because there's a lot of misconceptions about what people can do with AI, and he has a good quick like 3-minute presentation on that. So I don't know, man. What do you think? Should be free the whole time? You're keynoting, so I mean, great.
Democratize it.
Here's why only people following your account or listening to this podcast are coming. It's only heavy hitters. It's already the reason you charge is to have it curated or sponsored or funded.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you got the funding taken care of, right? Because you got sponsors. And the curation has already happened because in one room you got Ryan Ray Sr.,
That's
enough, yeah. Me, you got Jackie Hirsch, you got the infamous Paul Swaney, you got telecom. I like how you frame that, telecom giants. You got telecom giants. You got Tampa is hot, and you're only going to pull in the heavy hitters. If we get a few pedestrians that are just there to watch, that's fine. I doubt they're going to say much. There's a lot of alpha in the room. I'll just let them go, baby.
Right.
Just let them go. See what happens.
Should I put a cap on it?
For the people that are wanting to raise up and level up in influence, to have a voice in this community relative to you or OpenAI, the only way they're going to learn is to see it live, right? That's why Paul and I are friends. He did the same thing. He put up an event, and I drove to Tampa, to St. Pete, to go to it. And since that time, we've become good friends. You put up an event. I went it took me 2 tries. I went to Dallas to go to it. So I think free and allowing people to create connection is the best way to build community, is my opinion.
All right. Well, the flagship sponsor just said it has to be free. So them and the flagship sponsor and OpenAI both said it has to be free. So there it is.
That's right.
There it is.
We are aligned. We are philosophically aligned.
Decisions being made here on the ReForge podcast, live and in the flesh.
Live. And so are you going to be there, Colin?
I don't believe that I will be able to make it. It's a bit of
we should do
drive.
A live podcast in Tampa on the 20th.
I know we will have to look into it. We'll see. Well, I'm not ruling it out. I do owe Matt a trip, so we'll see what
you have to use your trip on Jacksonville. I'm not promoting Tampa. They have
that's fair.
They have a lot.
I'm good with that.
Okay, we can do a recap in Jacksonville the 22nd. So there you go. Because the Bull Reds will be swimming, and we're gonna be ripping the lip. So listen. Let's get another sponsor for you, Colin. That's what we'll do.
As long as Ryan isn't wearing any tech gear, we'll be all right.
Whoa. What's going on?
We're having some technical difficulties. I think we might lose him now.
What Ryan didn't tell you is, being the ultimate connector, he's turned this into fun with his mixer. He's turned it into business with what I'm calling the slap fight, because watching Paul and Ryan, if they, I don't even think they have a difference, but if they're going to settle it out, I want to see it. I want to watch it live. And then the third, he's turned it into a fishing trip in Jacksonville. So look at this guy go.
Hey, listen, you can record this right now. You can put it out there, send to Paul. If he dies on the heel of what he says online, this is going to be the easiest debate ever. There's no way he can do it. Like, there's just no way. Because what I've said is so benign, and what he says is so over the top. It's just going to be barbecue chicken. So
you guys are gonna end in like a 2-minute awkward bro hug, where neither one of you wants to let go first. I'm calling it right now.
It's gonna just be a never-ending stream of it.
Yeah.
All righty,
Colin, can you get us out of here? We're way over time.
Absolutely, Ryan. Absolutely fantastic having you. Before we head out, give us a rundown. Where can people find you? Where can they get in touch? Where can they meet the most connected man on X?
On X, Ryan Ray Sr., Ryan Ray SR. That's where you can find me. Yeah, there, or at SReEquity.com. Yeah. So, fantastic. Or you can tell Matt that you want to meet me. Matt kind of acts as a buffer for me sometimes, and so you can. He loves that.
Part-time agent. part-time
you
agent.
want to meet with Ryan? I'm going to need to see a little more account diversity before I can deal with
Your
Ryan.
customer concentration is not high enough. Sorry.
We're gonna have to see your X metrics before we can let you in the room. But all right, Ryan, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes,
This
guys.
has
Thank you for
been
having me on. It was amazing.
another great episode. And to all of you listening, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the ReForge podcast. Man, as always, we're talking the latest news on reindustrialization, robots on the factory floor, policy that moves the needle, or catching up with people rebuilding American industry. Our goal is always to show you that reindustrializing America is possible. It's happening right now, and it is pivotal. So make sure you subscribe and follow the ReForge podcast on all our socials, and be sure to check out the ReForgePodcast.com for more, including our 7-step guide to reindustrialization. Till next time, keep building.
Thanks for tuning in to the ReForge podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow us on all of our social media at the ReForge Pod. We will see you next time.